I thank the gentleman. Ms. Matz, I want to go back. Thank you for the second round of questions, the opportunity to follow up on a couple things you said earlier. You may have seen many of us on the dais react in a stunned fashion when you said something that I can't actually believe that you said. You said you don't believe that the credit unions represent their members. And you're nodding your head yes, as if that was actually what you said. So who do the credit unions represent?
The credit unions, in asking for budget hearings and telling us that we need to cut our budget and cutting our exam hours, are not representing the best interests of their members.
I got you. When they ask to cut the budget, whose money are they trying to save? It's their members, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Isn't that exactly what you would expect them to do, try and protect their members' money?
No, I would expect them to want to have...
You wouldn't expect them to protect their members' money?
Not in that way. That is not protecting the members' money, sir.
Okay, so tell me again who you think the credit unions represent. If they don't represent their members, who do they represent?
Well, credit unions, by and large, haven't been asking for this. It's the trade association.
I didn't ask you that. A really good question, answer to a question I didn't ask, so I'll ask it again. If the credit unions don't represent their members, whom do they represent?
I can't answer that. You'd have to ask them.
You don't have any opinions about it? They represent themselves? Are they preying on their own members? Have you talked to the CFPB about this?
Credit unions, when they ask us to cut our exam hours, are not representing the best interests of their members.
I'm a credit union member. Are you a credit union member?
I am.
I'm a credit union member. I think they're representing me when they ask you to do that. In fact, I happen to believe that my credit union represents me fairly well. And as a member of that credit union, I like the fact that they're trying to guard my money and be fairly conservative with it.
How are they guarding your money?
You've got a budget that has gone up much higher than the rate of inflation. You've got a staff that's going up higher than the other regulatory bodies. But let's continue this line of reasoning. You said that when I asked you about why you didn't like my bill, you said that you didn't think that input from the credit unions into your budget process, more input, would be helpful. But you also said, in response to a question to another member earlier today, that you really thought that input from your own employees was helpful in that budget process. So what I hear as a member of a credit union is that you don't think the input from the people who pay for you is helpful, but you do think that the input from the people that you pay is helpful. So help me reconcile what an ordinary human being would describe as self-serving crazy talk.
I go out all the time and speak to credit union officials and board members. I've been doing this for 6 years in this term and 4 years in the last term, and I can tell you the NCUA budget is not something that comes up. They talk about our regs.
Comes up with me.
Well, it doesn't come up with me.
I'm one of the most heavily credit union districts in the country. It comes up with me all the time. So you're saying that they've never raised with you concerns about your budget, that this is something that a trade association has drummed up in order to raise dues or something like that?
That is what I'm saying.
So you think that the credit unions are happy with your budget?
I don't think the credit unions really care about it.
Well, now wait a second. Let's go back and say that. You say that if it's not an issue for them, then what's the harm in going through the process that is laid out in my bill? What's the harm of having meetings with them, of having them have the opportunity to go over the line-by-line budget? If they're happy with your budget, and it's just an issue that's being ginned up by a trade association, what's wrong with passing my bill?
We're an independent regulator, and while it might have a good intention, I don't think it's good government to have the people who are regulated trying to participate in the budget-making process of the regulator who determines how many exam hours it needs and where those hours are going.
Why not?
To go. Because I think it's negatively influencing. When I was on the board last time...
Would you rather we just put you on budget here? Would that solve a lot of problems? Just not make the credit unions pay for you here, but have you be an appropriated regulator? Would you like that more?
I'm fine the way it is.
Well, you are, but evidently the people that you regulate aren't. So I'm asking you, as opposed to having to answer to the credit unions, because you don't think it's right that they have input in that's what you just said. You said you don't think it's right they have input in the budget if you're the one that's regulating them. That's fine. You don't regulate us. You can come to us and ask for money. Would you rather have Congress looking over your shoulder than the credit unions?
An independent regulator is not answerable to the entities it regulates.
To anybody, evidently. Not answerable to us. It took me 18 months to get a copy of the budget. So I'll ask you one last time in the last 8 seconds. Would you rather leave it the way that it is, or would you rather come on to the appropriations and have Congress oversee you?
I'm fine with it the way it is.
I figured you probably would be. Thank you very much, and thank you.